Alright, so we're going to be making an origami car. This is the model here. So to do this, we're going to start with the paper, fold it into eighths each way. There are plenty of guides on how to fold a square sheet of paper into eighths, or just making a grid from a sheet of paper. I'm not going to go into that here. You can just Google how to fold an accurate grid, um, and there should be plenty of resources available to you. I'm just going to start with eighths here, and first thing you want to do is kind of get a zigzag pattern on each half. So you just fold it over, over, over. Basically what you're doing is just making two kind of M's in each of the papers. It's kind of the pleat structure there. Just kind of zigzagging the paper. You can actually just alternate the paper each way, all the way through like this. Find the middle crease and just fold it flat. It's another way you can do that. But yeah, so just making a zigzag structure up to the middle crease each way. The next step is we're going to do a set of Elias stretches on each half. So if you kind of imagine, this little square here that's made up of four little squares, take two of those little squares and start fanning out the paper like such. And then in the center, kind of up in here, we're going to start making a little squash fold. Paper will not lay flat yet. So you're just kind of making a little squash fold there. And there. That's kind of what it looks like in there. You kind of see a little triangle. And we're just going to finish off this squash fold. Like such. And that is our first Elias stretch. Just kind of comes up like that. Just making that little tab there. I'm going to leave that tab folded down toward the center of the model. And we're just going to repeat that set of stretches on each of the other three corners. So this. We go fast for the sake of time, so feel free to pause the video here and there to catch up if you need to. The last few attempts I made this video, it's ended up being kind of an hour long with my explanations, so save the explanations for the more complex folds, or trickier compound folds that will actually need more explaining. Okay. So we have one more Elias stretch to do. Just like that. Might do a separate video on just singular origami techniques and folds. But for right now, just going to be moving through. Okay. So now we have our two sets of Elias stretches, as you can see there. I'm going to flip the paper over. Just fold the whole model up to that midpoint like that. Not going to crease too sharply here. This is sort of a guide crease for a compound fold we're going to make. There we go. So now, you see we have a middle crease here, crease up here that we had from before, And if you look on the other side, we have the same thing. It's drawing on it. Make it easier to see. So we got those creases there. And what we want to do is put a crease going like that. And like that, kind of going through those. Like such. So you see those dashed creases, marks. Get up. See those dashed crease marks? That's where we're going to be folding. So we're just going to take it kind of through the whole thing and just kind of fold up along that. Trying to keep everything kind of perpendicular. And what you'll see right here in the center, it won't quite lay flat. And there'll be this like middle thing that's going to start wanting to squash. So before we finish that, we're going to repeat what we just did on the other side. Again, it won't really lay flat yet. Just kind of like that. And now if you look in here, we kind of have this little bit kind of coming around here. What we want to do, let's kind of pull, grab it, pull this, start to fold that down in half. Sort of like that. Like that. Again, it's not going to completely lay flat yet until we finish the squash fold. Sort of like that, like that. There we go. So now, I had mentioned the squash fold. You can kind of see this little center bit here wants to come up. And it's being pulled on by the sets of creases we just made. So you see, to get everything to lay flat, we're going to have to squash fold along the length of this. And it helps if you open up the model a little, get underneath where you're going to be squash folding, just to help get it started. Started. We're not really creasing anything, we're just kind of curling the paper. How it's going to need to be curled. There we go. Okay. So now I'm going to restart collapsing stuff the way it was. Okay. That, like that. There we go. Once we get the squash fold started, it'll be a lot easier to manage. There we go. So make sure I'm collapsing it the same way. All the layers going the way they naturally would had I just started that normally. Okay. So like that, like that. Now this is kind of the tricky step here. I'm just going to start the squash. And now you see I'm just going to walk that, putting tension along the paper, walk that squash up so it goes through the whole model, like such, and like such. And then from here I can kind of neaten out stuff. Smooth out a little bit of the squash fold I need to smooth out. And we're going to repeat that step on this side now. See again, kind of holding through. Kind of through like that. Getting this over. Over. And now we are ready to start squashing. Okay. So open it up. Underneath that squash. Collapse everything. There we go. That side's good. Side. Okay. So we've done our squash folds. Now, this step I recommend kind of using a folding tool to get everything to kind of lay flat along that squash.